Welcome to the J Sports Report and this special Celtics edition of the J Sports Report. It's March time. It's time for the year for that March Madness. The Celtics currently are 36-36, the 5th in the Eastern Conference, and right now they're good enough for the playoffs. So it's time to start looking at those draft boards. So right now the Celtics have the best overall odds for the first overall pick in this coming draft, and they're looking at like one guy, Josh Jackson. Kansas freshman, he's 20 years old, a world-class athlete with an incredible basketball IQ, freak athlete, faster, jumps higher, gets off the ground quicker than anyone else in college, in my opinion. 6'8", 207 pounds, a rare combination of size and speed. 6'10", wingspan, great defender. He's got a great defensive stance, hard to get around him, averaging 4.4 fouls per 40 minutes. Played exclusively at small forward this year, could play a little bit of the small ball floor. Red flags for him are his jump shot, which in my opinion is kind of ugly. It's an ugly jump shot, but he could work at it and make him and improve it in the NBA. Jackson has shot 28.2% from 3 this season, and he's averaging 14.7 points per game on 51.4 shooting from the field. Jackson overall is pretty well rounded. In other aspects, he has averaged 3.1 assists and 2.2 turnovers a game this season. Real questions with him is, can he improve his jumper and make quicker? Absolutely. Can he tighten up and do things differently? Absolutely. If Jackson can consistently shoot the ball, he would have an argument as the best overall prospect this year. Teams would have to either live with his shooting or give him control of the offense as a point forward, much like Giannis Antetokounmpo. Overall, Jackson's defense is good enough that teams could get over the shooting stats, but poor shooting has been the Achilles heel for many NBA players. For as fear as athletes as Jackson is, it's hard to get excited about a guy who can't shoot the rock. Jackson projected the number 1 overall pick, and he could go anywhere, in my opinion, from 1 to 5. Looking at the 2 spot currently, the Pelicans have the best chance, and they're looking at a point guard by the name of Markelle Fultz out of Washington. Pelicans really need a point guard. That would make sense for them if they get the number 2 overall pick. Markelle Fultz, a 6'5" combo guard with elite skills and athleticism. Ideal size for his position at 6'5". He attacks the gaps in the defense and takes it hard to the rim with aggression. He finishes well through contact, good slashing ability, good court vision also, averaging 6.7 assists per game. Playing mostly 2 guard right now at Washington, and he's looking good. He's got great court vision, like I said, can get points for himself, but can also make plays for others. Fultz is what I would call a streaky player. He can heat up real fast and go on a big run, but he can struggle to shoot the ball at times. Good transition player, rebounds well for a guard, 6.4 rebounds per game currently. Also block shots decently. His jumper has improved, but it can be shaky at times. Like I said, he has room to grow. He needs to focus a little bit more on the mid-range jumper. He currently only goes to the rim and to 3. Doesn't really focus on the mid-range. He has a star quality and a star attitude, but needs to continue to grow his leadership and show that he could be a point guard in the NBA. Fultz could go anywhere from 1 to 3. I see him being a top 3 player this coming draft in June, and I think he will immediately impact anyone who drafts him. The Bulls have the best chance of the 3rd overall pick right now, with Harry Giles going into that spot, it looks like. Now, Harry Giles is a real interesting player because he's been injured for most of the season, and most teams think that he should spend another year in college, but it looks like he's going to test the NBA draft waters. Giles struggles with knee injuries, and honestly, in my opinion, he really should spend a year at Duke and under Coach K and just continue to rehab. Let's talk about him a little bit, though. Harry Giles is out of Duke, like I said, currently ranked 3rd on the draft board, but the injury bug could keep him out of the top 5. Struggles with knee injuries that have kept him out of much of the season. The same knee kept him out of his entire sophomore year in high school. Giles really yet to find his place on Duke's rotation. Coach K has said several times that he is going to take it slow with Giles and make sure that he doesn't do anything to harm himself or re-aggravate that knee injury. Coach K has really limited him, as to not re-aggravate the knee injury. Giles isn't much of a scorer, can sometimes knock down the mid-range, but struggles from the post Defense is solid, averaging 6.9 rebounds per game and 1.3 blocks per game for the forward out of Duke University. Going at the 4 spot, the Mavericks, looking like they're going to get that pick. And Dennis Smith is the guy that currently Draft Express is putting at the number 4 spot. I honestly think Dennis Smith Jr. can go anywhere from 1 to 4. I don't see him getting out of the top 4. I see him either being drafted number 1 overall, 2, 3, or 4. And for Harry Giles, I forgot to say, Harry Giles can fall anywhere from the 3 spot all the way down to 14, in my opinion. He could end up not being a lottery pick. But we're talking about Dennis Smith now. He is from North Carolina State, an explosive point guard with size and intangibles, which are great for the position. Elite level athlete, plays well above the rim, attacks the rim with aggression. Highly unselfish player, currently averaging 6.2 assists per game. Very willing to pass the ball, looking like more of a pass-first point guard. But he can also score. He's a great perimeter defender, has the ability to harass and rip opposing ball handlers. Draws fouls and gets to the line consistently. Can improve his outside jumper, but like Giles, though, knee injuries raise questions where his immense athleticism makes him more prone to injury. Smith sat out his senior year in high school with a torn ACL, currently averaging 19.1 points per game, 3.6 rebounds, and 6.2 assists. Dennis Smith, one of those guys who questionable. His mid-range shot is pretty good. His jumper is okay. He can knock down the 3, but he could go anywhere from 1 to 4. Giles seems to be that point guard who can take over for any team. Coming in at the number 5 spot for the draft this year, the Magic, looking like they're going to draft Lonzo Ball, according to Draft Express, which Lonzo Ball, we've heard a lot about him and his family. He's out of UCLA and is maybe the guy who can sneak into the top 3. If Harry Giles doesn't go 3rd, I think he would be the guy to sneak into the top 3, Ball is consistently, and it's considered by many, as the best guard in this draft. He is an absolute freak athlete. He can get to the rim pretty easily, and he's not the best shooter. He's got a weird hitch in his jump shot that makes it a little awkward. Might have to look to improve that, but if he can improve that, I don't see him having any problem going in the top 3. Let's talk a little bit of stats. Currently at 6'6", he's a big point guard at UCLA. He's more like a Russell Westbrook kind of shape and form. He needs to put on a little bit more muscle, but currently averaging 14.3 points per game, 5.7 rebounds, and 8.1 assists. Really a good job of sharing the rock for a point guard. He has a decent jumper, like I said, but it needs to be worked on a bit. Shooting just over 50% from the field to go along with his passing. He's a tremendous playmaker. Ball is also an elite rebounder, 6.3, like I said, for the UCLA standout. Sometimes he can be a bit of too casual with it, currently averaging right around 2.7 turnovers per game, but also not really known as a catch-and-shoot type player. He's got that funky jump shot like I've talked about a couple times here, but his passing looks good. He drives and dishes it out to the corner and finds his open teammate a lot. He's unselfish, more like that point guard that doesn't look to score first. One of the most unique talents, could go anywhere from 3 to 9 in this draft this season. Coming in at number 6, De'Aaron Fox. So back-to-back Kentucky players here for John Calipari. 2 more guys going in the top 10, looks like, and De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk. We'll talk about De'Aaron Fox first. Out of Kentucky, like I said, is a point guard who has limitations at this stage of his development, particularly as a scorer. Has quickness and ball handling skills to create his own shot and get to the rim effectively, but struggles around the hoop. It seems like he doesn't know how to create high percentage looks for himself. A lot of times he'll just kind of stand there and won't move around. If he doesn't have the ball, won't try to create his own offense. But Fox doesn't have bad shooting mechanics, but struggles to translate them to games. Shoot around looks good. Fox doesn't have bad shooting mechanics, but he kind of struggles to translate them to games. We saw him in a shoot-around in Kentucky, which the media was invited to, and he looked good, but when we watched Kentucky games with him, he is more of a pass-first point guard and doesn't look to score, doesn't move around as much. But he's currently averaging 1.9 steals per game. His defense is spectacular, and he has quick hands, terrific instincts for swiping the ball from opposing players. Let's talk about Malik Monk a little bit more, who's the exact opposite of De'Aaron Fox. Malik Monk is more of a scorer, 22.6 points per game on 51% from the field and 43% from downtown. He's explosive. Monk has shown solid ball skills, utilizing crossovers, behind-the-back moves, freak athlete. Defense could improve, but he's a guy a team looking for an explosive scorer at the 2 guard could look to grab. Coming in at the 8 spot is Jason Tatum, and it looks like the Hornets are going to get that pick according to the Draft Express board so far this year. Jason Tatum, once again, the second player out of Duke in this, is a good athlete who displays excellent fluidity and can go above the rim, elite skill level for his age, good ball handling. He's capable of bringing the ball up the court and working the pick and roll. Great mid-range scorer with elite footwork. Could be an above-average 3-point scorer. You don't know in this league. Relies too much on one-on-one ISOs. Looking like Carmelo Anthony, kind of predictable at times. Not the most willing passer. Not the greatest defender. Not very vocal. On the court, could go anywhere from 7 to 12. Here, Jason Tatum reminds me really of a Carmelo Anthony kind of player. ISO one-on-one guy. And our final prospect that we are going to be looking at is Marcus Bolden out of Duke. Once again, another Duke player, one of Coach K's guys getting in this draft video. And Marcus Bolden currently averaging 3.7 points per game, 8.1 rebounds, and the assist numbers aren't even there. 0.2 assists per game for Marcus Bolden, who's 6'11", a 245, 3 points per game, 8 rebounds, and 0.2 assists. Bolden is a physical animal at 6'11" with a 7.4 wingspan. Mobile players, good scoring instincts, can score in the post with either hand, good hand, solid finisher. Nice stroke from mid-range, very good potential on defense. Blocks shots using his long arms, but he's not a great athlete. Energy level waves at times. He's an average rebounder on the defensive side of the ball, below average free throw shooter. So that is your look at the top 10 prospects going into the 2017 draft. We hope you'll join us here on the J Sports Radio Network on June 22nd when that goes down. The Celtics will look to have the number 1 pick this year, as Brooklyn has struggled, and they are currently number 1 in the lottery race.